Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and today I have a tutorial craft with me video where I will be sharing my process making a bag journal of pockets. And this is a type of journal that I tend to make every year at the end of each year, where I collect a whole bunch of different bags throughout the year, and basically I just store them in a drawer. And then at the end of the year, I open up that drawer, pull all of those bags out, see what I have to work with, and put them together to make a very interactive journal with lots and lots of pockets where each page is a pocket. And then I have fun filling up every single one of those pockets with goodies, with ephemera and embellishments and junk journal supplies. So it's sort of like a happy mail in a journal, or an ephemera holder, or like a little travel ephemera kit, but in a journal. So there's many ways you could use the journal. But here is a look at all of the bags that I have collected from this year. I mainly get them from various shops that I go to. The majority of these are probably from the post office, because that's the shop I go to the most. I pretty much go there, if not weekly, then every 2 weeks to send orders. So I'm constantly getting, stamps and envelopes and packages. So often the shopkeeper will ask if I want a bag, and I used to say no if I didn't need a bag, but even if I don't need a bag, I will say yes, because then I can use it for these bag journals. And sometimes I will request, please no folding it and no sticky tape, because that way I can preserve the bag as well as I can. But even if they do fold it and maybe add a bit of sticky tape to it, I'll try to salvage it as much as I can, and either refold it or cut off the top where the sticky tape was if the bag may be ripped. I have some other bags here that you'll notice. There's a couple of decorative ones. So there's a pink polka dot one and one with gold foil dots. The gold foil one, I believe I got from Global Land. And yeah, I love using those ones in my journals, where I just fold them in half and then you have an interactive page with 2 side loading pockets. This is another really fun bag, the mushroom bag. Depending on where you go, they have different designs for their mushroom bags in various supermarkets and grocery stores. I like using those mushroom bags as well for maybe like an autumn themed journal or a woodland themed journal, where I can have mushrooms and toadstools mixed with things like squirrels and more of that autumn vibe. But yeah, I also like using them for my bag journals. I've got some all different sizes of bags, all different colors, all different shapes. It's so fun seeing them build up throughout the year. We've got some white ones, some craft paper ones. We've got some smaller ones, bigger ones, and it really lets you play around with how you fold and cut them. So even if you don't have much of a variety in the types of bags that you can get, for example, if you have like 3 of one type of bag, you can still do some really fun things to those 3 bags to make them look different, depending on how you fold them and cut them. So you can either fold them vertically or horizontally. You can fold them perfectly in half or off center, so that you have a shorter page on one side of the signature, a bigger page on the other side. And that will determine as well whether you have a top loading pocket or a side loading pocket, or a pocket where it opens at the top and the side. And all of that just gives you that lovely variety, so that every time you turn the page, you're getting a different look. And it makes it really engaging, inviting, and exciting to flip through these pages, and very interactive. And the great thing also about having different bag sizes and different types of pockets. Top loading, side loading, for example, is that you can fit different things then into those pockets. So you can fit smaller things into the smaller pockets, and of course larger things into those larger pockets, and especially the pockets where they're open at the top and the side. Those pockets lend themselves really well to the bigger things that you want to tuck into pockets, like maybe full-size book pages or scrapbook papers, cards, envelopes, bigger ephemera, bigger pieces of ephemera that won't fit into small pockets. They're just way more accessible to slot into those types of pockets that have an opening at the top and the side. Whereas if you have like a small, narrow top loading pocket, I find they're the most difficult or the most challenging ones to use, because things can kind of get lost at the bottom of those pockets if you don't have something tall enough. So what I like to do is have a mix of all of these different sizes of pockets and different ways that they open, top, side, and top and side, if that makes sense. And basically, I'm just going through one by one through the bags. I'm either just folding them directly in half and letting them be if they're small enough. That's the ideal page type for me anyway. But with the larger ones, then I get to make a decision. Do I fold it vertically? Do I fold it horizontally? And I think most of my pockets tend to be side loading pockets because I find they're the most accessible ones. They're the easiest to use. But I do intersperse those with top loading pockets. And with the top loading pockets, I will also play around with different heights of the page. So some I'll leave as tall as the journal itself, so it's like a really, really tall, narrow pocket. Or I will cut it down maybe half the size of the journal, or even shorter than half, and you can do all your different heights as well, and that gives you some nice variety as well. And sometimes you can tailor the pocket size to the ephemera that you're going to put in it. So if you have a small tag, then make sure you cut a page that's small enough so that the tag is easy to get out of the pocket, or maybe you want to have the tag visible, like the top of the tag still visible. So if you want that to happen, then you can make sure that you cut the pocket shorter for that. But basically I'm not worried too much about that. I'm just making sure I have variety, and then later on afterwards, when it's all bound together, that's when I'll decide what will go into each pocket. And then I love making the journal, folding the pages, cutting them, binding them together, arranging all the pages, and then that's like half the fun. And then the other half of the fun is filling up all those pockets. And so my aim with these journals is not just to make use of all of these bags, but to declutter at the end of the year. So maybe there were some pieces of ephemera that I've been saving and holding on to and hoarding this whole year, and finally it's the end of the year now and I want to clear out my space and get ready for next year. So I'm going to use those things. And that's the fun thing as well, is with this kind of journal, of course, you could do a theme if you wanted, like all, I don't know, for example, butterfly themed or all floral. But with my bag journals, I like to do completely random, completely eclectic. And my aim is to use as many different types of ephemera to put into these pockets. So for example, let's see, tags, journal cards, envelopes, stickers, fabric, wallpaper. There's a shaker bag in there with some of my sequins. I even put, I think, one of those keys that I got from the local hardware. There's some wallpaper in there. There's some book pages in there. There's some vintage pieces. There's a tea card and playing card. There's just all sorts of goodies in each of those pockets. And you can even include some textiles, fold up some fabric, put that into a pocket, put some ribbons or like trim in there. You can even get some beads and buttons and charms and put those either loose into a pocket, or what I would probably do is find like maybe a Ziploc bag and put the buttons and charms into a Ziploc bag so that they don't, fall out everywhere, and slip that into a pocket maybe. Anything really that you can think of that is a junk journal supply, you can slip into those pockets. So there's handmade goodies and there's vintage goodies in my bag journal of pockets, as well as just random miscellaneous items. I think there's some postage stamps and a vellum envelope and index cards and paint chips, and there's just all sorts of things. And then the great thing is as well that there's just so many ways you can use this journal. You could use it like an ephemera holder, and as you use the ephemera, you can top up all of those pockets and keep reusing it over and over again. I know you could, just lay it out on your desk and keep it on your desk and have fun flipping through the pages, looking for different things to put into your journal, whether it's journals that you're making or your personal journal pages. You could definitely take everything out and have like a separate journal and a pile of ephemera if you wanted to do it that way. And then the pages themselves of the journal, you could definitely use that to journal in, to write on all those pages, or maybe you want to add journaling spaces to those pages. You can collage over them. You can use it as a glue book. You can use it as an art journal. In fact, the cover of this journal, you might have noticed, it was this beautiful pattern paper that I actually made this journal quite a while ago, earlier on in this year, but I was saving it for this particular project because I thought it lent itself well to this style of journal, where the cover is it reminds me of like a mixed media art journal, and I love the colours, that teal and turquoise, and it reminds me of some of like my own personal art journal pages where I do paint and maybe a bit of stamping or stenciling and gessoing over the top, and so it just gave me that kind of vibe for this journal. And I think a paper bag journal where you're upcycling paper bags is such a great base for a mixed media art journal, because I know with other types of journals it might be a bit intimidating to use those pages because they're beautifully put together pages. But with a journal like this, we're pretty much just upcycling bags that would otherwise go in the bin. Usually when people buy something from the shop, they'll keep whatever is in the bag and then chuck out the bag. So this is a great way to not feel any pressure about ruining the pages, because they would probably most likely end up in the bin anyway. So you could apply paint, you can go to town with stamping and stenciling and collaging and gluing things on there. You can add your own ephemera, your own, like from your actual own life, photos and journaling spaces. This bag here, you can see it's got quite a lot of creases as well. So some bags are pristine. Sometimes they come pristine, no folds, no creases. Other bags, the shopkeeper might, instead of nicely folding it down at the top, they'll scrunch it down at the top. But that's okay. You can still use that. It gives the bag a bit more texture even. And I like kind of that variety. I've got some bags that are more on the pristine side, other bags that are more on this crinkled side. And for this particular project, I like them all. I want all of that lovely variety. There was one bag that was quite large as well. And so all I did with that one was I cut it in half, and the bottom half I just folded in half, and then I had 2 top loading pockets for that particular page. And then the top half, there would be an opening at the top and the bottom. So with that bottom edge, all I did is I took that to my sewing machine to close that. But if you don't have a sewing machine, you could definitely just glue that closed. Or I would probably use tape, if you use a decorative washi tape, you're adding something pretty to the page as well. If you don't want to use washi tape, of course, you can use any tape, sticky tape, masking tape, duct tape, any tape really, just to close up that bottom edge so that you can still salvage that top part of the bag and still have pockets. So yeah, now I've got all of my lovely bags here. I was really happy with the amount of bags that I accumulated this year. Some years, I get fewer bags, or I might get a bit less variety. But this year I was very, very happy with the number of bags and the variety of bags. And now it's just a matter of arranging the pages. And what I'm really thinking about most of all with this particular journal is layers. So this is where I can really have fun with the layering. And I do tend to alternate with white papers versus the craft paper color. And I just have a loose guideline in my head of, craft paper, white paper, craft paper, white paper, but then I'll break that pattern up just so that it's not predictable and that kind of thing. And I'm also sort of alternating top loading pocket with side loading pocket, but again, breaking that pattern up as well, because of course I think I have a lot more side loading pockets. So yeah, I have completed this journal and I will have a flip through sneak peek up on my Patreon because my beautiful patrons get first access to all of my creations. But coming up soon, I will have the full flip through on my channel where you can see what it looks like with all of the goodies inside. So I think this is the chunkiest bag journal that I've made, and I think the reason for that is because there were a lot more bags, a lot more pockets that I could fill up, and maybe because I'm getting better at using the things and parting with items and decluttering. So I really had fun just adding lots of goodies to each of these pockets. And so you can see I'm just alternating craft paper with the white paper, but not all the time. And that's the other thing, I'm alternating sort of small pages with large pages. And that's what I'm thinking about in my head, those sort of three categories: the color, the size, and the type of pocket. And then keeping those three elements in my head, that tells me the order of the pages. That shows me how I'm going to arrange the pages. And not that it really matters too much, of course. I always say this, you can do anything with a junk journal pretty much. You can arrange it however you want and it will be brilliant. But I'm such a detailed person and I'm a very structured person. I can't help myself. I always have some sort of, guideline, I guess I call it, in my head, or outline in my head of how I want it to look. So I'm alternating between those three categories and just making sure there's not like a string of white papers all together or a string of top loading pockets all together. And yeah, I like how it came together, and I love that gold foil bag pocket. I think it came in a pack of 50 or maybe 100 even from Global Land. And I always love bags as one of my staple items for making junk journals. I think of bags and envelopes and doilies, vellum. Okay, now the list is getting way too long. But those types of materials I will always get because I will put those kinds of materials into every single journal I make. So envelopes, bags, doilies, vellum, those right there are what I kind of call novelty pages, where it just gives you that variety, that texture, the interactivity in a journal. So I love including those types of pages in every single one of my journals if I can, if possible. So yeah, go ahead and keep as many bags as you possibly can and have fun making your bag journal. Sometimes I am tempted to use these bags throughout the year in other journal projects, but I do my best to save them to use for the end of the year. So yeah, I am excited to share the final flip through coming up soon. Later on my channel. Hope you enjoy this tutorial. Let me know if you have made a paper bag journal before, with lots of pockets, or if you are going to make one, and I hope you have a lot of fun making it. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in the month of October. I appreciate you so much. You allow me to do what I do here on YouTube, making journals, teaching journaling courses, and running workshops. If you would like to support Willowbound Journals, you can become a patron by clicking the link down below in the description box. Or you can also support my channel by becoming a member of my channel by clicking the join button. So that is where you get access to member videos, and all patrons also get access to member videos over on my Patreon. Patrons also get access to the journal making videos as well as printables each month, and the Ruby patrons get access to every single printable kit in my Etsy. There are mail tiers as well where I send goodies to you in the mail. So hopefully there is something for everyone who would like to support Willowbound Journals.